This is my review of Singapore Airlines 787 Business Class from Singapore to Hong Kong in February 2025. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe. Our flight today is from Singapore Changi Airport to Hong Kong International Airport and clocks in at just over 2,500 kilometers and takes 4 hours. Our journey begins at Singapore Changi Airport Terminal 3. After clearing security, I was in the departures area in no time at all. I decided to first head to the Singapore Airlines lounge to grab some food. As a business class passenger, I had access to the KrisFlyer lounge, which is just up this set of escalators. As I arrived late to the lounge, I didn't spend too long here, although I've been many times before, and it's a great lounge. I've made a separate video reviewing this lounge in full, which I've linked at the end of this video and in the description. But in short, it's a fantastic lounge and well worth spending a little bit of time before your flight. Assuming you arrive on time, that is. After a brief visit to the lounge, I had to make my way to the gate. Today, my flight was departing from gate A11, which is about a 5-minute walk from the lounge, and you have these handy escalators to get you there quickly. Thankfully, when I arrived, there was no queue. My bags were x-rayed, and I made my way to the plane very quickly. Before boarding, I grabbed this quick shot of the 787 plane that's going to take us from Singapore to Hong Kong. I think I found the reason why security wasn't busy. Everyone had already gotten through, and so the departure gate was packed. There was priority boarding for business class passengers, however, so I was on the plane very quickly. And here's my seat. Seat 17A. I settled into my seat and waited for pushback. After about 15 minutes on the plane, boarding was complete, and we began our pushback from the gate. I used this time to take a little look around the seat. As you can see here, the seat comes with a touchscreen remote control for you to adjust the in-flight entertainment. The seat itself, as well as the flight attendant call buttons, are here. As you can see, whilst there's plenty of legroom, the seat itself is a little bit smaller than on other Singapore Airlines business class products. The footrest in particular looks particularly small. Seating on this flight is in a 1-2-1 configuration, which is standard in business class, except on BA, but enough said about that. I chose a window seat as that's my favourite. To the left-hand side of the seat are individual reading lights if you want to read during takeoff or landing. To the right of the seat is a frankly giant side table relative to the side of the seat. It's almost as wide as the seat itself. There's also this storage area, which comes with a universal charging port, as well as 2 USB-A ports, and a little mirror if you want to adjust your makeup. It was a bright, clear day as we made our way towards the runway. Whilst we were taxiing, they played the flight safety video, which I personally love.
Welcome aboard Singapore Airlines. As the safety equipment of this aircraft may differ from that of other aircraft, please give us your attention as we bring you through this important safety briefing and on a journey through Singapore.
You can see here from this video just how narrow the seat is relative to the side table. I'm not a huge guy, and yet I find this pretty cramped, particularly on a 4-hour flight. I also don't love the lap belt you have to wear. It's kind of uncomfortable. I don't know whether it's just me, but it kind of digs into my shoulder. I take it off as soon as we've taken off. I'm pleased to say that post-COVID, Singapore Airlines has returned to serving paper menus in their business class cabin. Let's take a look. This is the dinner menu, and you'll note there's a special SQ898 dinner, which I went for tonight, and you'll see later on in the video. If you didn't want that, the food choices are on your right. For alcohol, this flight served a vintage champagne, as well as a number of white wines, as well as red wines. Even though it was only a 4-hour regional flight, Singapore Airlines still stocked a full bar on this flight. Also on offer was a fortified wine, as well as numerous cocktails for you to choose from, which includes the iconic Singapore Sling. Spirits were also available, including XO Cognac, single malt whiskey, Japanese whiskey, and Grey Goose vodka. If alcohol's not your thing, Singapore Airlines also serves a number of mocktails, as well as soft drinks and fruit juices. Whilst I was looking at this, the safety video completed.
On behalf of Singapore Airlines, we hope you have a great time on board as well as Singapore
It wasn't long before we were nearing the runway for takeoff. What an amazing view of the sky. One thing I love about taxiing is that the plane actually goes over the road heading to the airport on a bridge. It's so cool to see this from the car below. Headphones are provided on this flight, which is Singapore Airlines' own branded headphones. They're a good quality and quite comfortable to wear, although after 4 hours, they were digging into my ear a little bit, but that's probably because I've got a big head. In no time at all, we were turning onto the runway for takeoff. I'll speed this bit up so as not to bore you. Takeoff was smooth, and we were airborne, on our way to Hong Kong. My seat was placed just ahead of the wing, so I got an amazing view of the engines out of my back window. It's so lovely to see the ground disappearing in front of the engine. I also love travelling over the clouds. It gives you a true sense of just how fast this plane is going. As you can see here, the in-flight remote control shows you what film you're watching and allows you to adjust things like volume, brightness, and also fast forward and rewind without touching the screen. Food was served about 15 minutes after takeoff. As I mentioned before, I went for the special SQ898 meal, which had for the starter fried fish. Served with this was a side salad of mushroom and cucumber. All of this food here looks plain, but it was very tasty. The balance of flavours was impeccable, and I was very satisfied with this. As you can see here, I ate every bit of it, including the vegetables, which I'll be honest, I don't always do. 5 stars. Up for main course was braised beef with rice. The beef was delicious, tender, flavoursome, and not too overcooked. The rice, on the other hand, not my favourite. I'm not saying they did anything wrong with it. It was just a little bland. Dessert was absolutely incredible. It was a chilled berry pudding, and while it looks plain, it was a perfect balance of sweetness. Served also was a cheese board and a fruit plate. I thought I was only going to get one of these, but the flight attendant gave me all 3. Honestly, I have no complaints about any of this. It was all delicious and a perfect way to end the meal. If I could have that dessert again on a flight, I would in a heartbeat. I'd really recommend it. After eating, I went to the toilets to check them out. As you can see here, the toilets are quite spacious. Not the largest on an aeroplane, but I had no room moving around, and I'm reasonably tall. They were clean and well maintained as well, with the flight attendants going in periodically to clean them throughout the flight. Thankfully, they also had a little lever here, so you don't have to touch the bin to dispose of your towels. Speaking of which, the towels provided are these cotton ones, and also they provide you with Penhaligon's toiletries and an eau de toilette. Penhaligon's is a high-end London brand, so this is really generous of them. Also provided are a number of toiletries, including toothbrush, combs, shaver. Really, there's everything you need for a flight here, and if this was 4 hours, probably more than you need. There were 3 toilets at the front of the cabin, so aside from just before landing, you never had to queue for these. Having eaten and gone to the toilet, I settled down to watch my film and relax. By this time, the sun had set outside, so it also wasn't very conducive for filming, so let's skip forward to the end of the flight. Having finished my film and begun another one, I saw that we had only 15 minutes to land, and the cabin was brightened. As we approached Hong Kong, I saw the bridge that connects Macau with Hong Kong. I believe this is one of, if not the largest suspension bridges in the world. I know you can't see it very well from this video, but it was really cool to see it on approach. And just like that, we banked right and approached Hong Kong International Airport for landing. taxi to the gate took only about 5 minutes, and before long, we were disembarking the plane. It was a medium-sized walk to immigration, and thankfully, immigration only took a few minutes, as there was no queue when I arrived. And just like that, we were at Hong Kong. This was a fantastic journey. I really love flying Singapore Airlines for this route.